You do not need millions of monthly listeners to be considered a good band. There are plenty of talented people all across the world where, they have not that many monthly streamers, but that's okay. I want people to start understanding that you don't need thousands upon millions of monthly listeners to be a good band. Today, we're going to talk about underground bands that are worth your time. Before I get into the video though, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. And if you can please as well, click the bell notification. You'll get alerted whenever I make a new video, whenever I post a new video, and it'll just keep you up to date whenever Dumbtoes releases a new video. And for the people that don't really know who I am, my name is Dumbtoes, and I talk about a lot of underground music on TikTok and on Instagram. I've started doing that as well on YouTube, and lately not as much, but I'm going back to that because I feel like I should just shed a light on all these talented people and bands. And truthfully, what it comes down to is music I find enjoyable and music that I feel like a bunch of other people can find enjoyable as well. So that's why I talk about it online. I never really look at it like, oh man, I have to find a band to get some content out there, so I'm just gonna push a band that I don't really believe in. It's not like that. I don't like that kind of point of view. My whole thing is if I enjoy a band, I'm going to talk about it, and you're going to see me kind of be joyful and just be positive because it's true. It won't come from a negative or fake place. So that is really the bottom line of the content or type of content that I make. So yeah, just letting you guys know. Enough of the rambling though, let's get on and move on and talk about these bands that are very talented and I find really, really fun to listen to. Okay, the first band that I'm going to talk about is a band called Depart Me from Bear Island, and they are an emo band. And if you want to get down to the details, I guess they're just a two-piece emo band, and they are just wow. Whenever I listen to them, you can call this band screamo, emo, scrams, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of yelling in there, but there's also this emo melody that I find very, very connectable, if you know what I'm talking about. And what I mean by that is that, they have some vocals that a lot of people can connect to, and it feels a lot like there's a sensitive type of tone, and whenever there's sensitivity involved, then a lot of people can go towards that and connect to it because we all feel some sort of emotions, and that's what I love about this band. They tap into that, and it's very fun. Really, that's really how it is for me. I find it very fun to listen to, and their fan base really kind of agrees with me on that note. And for the people that don't find this genre or subgenre enjoyable, I totally understand, and I've talked about it before, so I don't really want to repeat myself too much, but there's a lot of screaming and a lot of emotions coming out of those screams, so I know that can probably just make people want to go away and just be a little bit cringed from it because it's just not their palate. It is not in their taste buds. They don't enjoy it. So I totally understand where people come from on that side because I was on that side for a while, but I'm on this side now, and I find it very, very enjoyable. And a lot of people try to make this music nowadays, and I was wondering why back then, but now, since I'm a fan, I totally get it. It kind of immerses you into this crowd of people where it's like all these people enjoy this type of music and feel connected to it, and it kind of feels like a community that really is in touch with who they are, and that's what I enjoy about it a lot. That might seem kind of weird or like a different point of view probably for some people, but whenever I listen to music, I try to get down into the detail and understand why people make this type of music and why people enjoy it at the end of the day, because some people would just listen to it and they'll be like, oh, this is garbage, what am I listening to? No. Sometimes I'm like that, but sometimes, or for the most part, I try to go into it with a deeper mindset. And I freaking love this band, man. There are some acoustic stuff in there, and there's really just an explosive type of sound that they have. And anybody can connect with either of those type of sounds. So it's really just a lot of different stuff going on and a lot of stuff going on at the same time. I will say that this band does not have the most amount of material out right now, like I guess an album or an EP or anything like that. There's some singles and there's stuff like that, some songs out there, but for me, I don't find that like a burden whatsoever. I know some people want albums on top of the albums, which I totally understand, but this band doesn't have that much material out. So if you're going into the band, please have that, I guess, thought in your mind, or just keep that in mind is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, there's not a lot of albums, and I guess that's a negative for people, but for me, I don't find that negative whatsoever. Shout out Depart Me from Bear Island. They're very great. The next band that I have on my list is a band called Glimmer, and this is a straight up shoegaze band. And a lot of people love shoegaze nowadays, and who does not love those fuzzy guitars on top of fuzzy guitars with some very sometimes slowed down vocals, and sometimes there's vocals where you're like, man, I feel like there's not even any vocals whatsoever. But there's a lot of different shoegaze going on nowadays, and Glimmer is a very bright spot. And what I mean by bright spot is whenever I listen to Glimmer, I feel like there's just this upbeat thing about them, and it's just a lot more joyful. And I'm not saying that some shoegaze is depressing or anything like that. Not really. There's some different emotions within shoegaze that a lot of people tend to let out. But with Glimmer, I get more of a happy vibe from them. And I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about that. But whenever I listen to Glimmer, I get this upbeat, happy, jolly type of sound from them, or type of vibe from them. And yeah, it's a very positive soundscape with a lot of melodies intertwined, and I like that personally because there's not too much of that going on right now. Some of the shoegaze that's going on right now, sometimes the vocals are an afterthought, or sometimes the vocals are just a little bit more sad and a little bit more into that nostalgic type of sound. But this band, a little bit different, I guess, and different is good, and sometimes different isn't always good, but in this case, it is good in my mind. And kind of like Depart Me from Bear Island, they don't have too much material out right now. But the thing about this band as well is that there's good songs out. So there's that for you. So you're not going to listen to some garbage, in my opinion. A very fun band, and I'm excited to see whenever they drop an EP or an album to see what kind of direction they'll take. Maybe they'll evolve, maybe they'll just step into something different. I don't know. That's the exciting thing about watching new bands and watching them grow and watching them change, maybe. You know, you never know what you're going to expect, and I find that very exciting. I mean, I think it's obvious, but whenever you look at older bands, you pretty much know what happened in their career, so there was nothing, or there is nothing very exciting, I guess, from that standpoint. But when you watch a new band come up, you're obviously not going to know what to expect, and I find that very amusing, very entertaining as a music lover. And Glimmer is definitely worth a shot if you want to listen to them. Some upbeat shoegaze, some positive type of melodies and stuff like that. Worth the listen. The next band on my list is my favorite band on my list, and this is the band Siilk with 2 I's. And oh my goodness, man, they have that very relatable, or not relatable, but that popular type of sound that's going around nowadays with upcoming bands, and it steps into that new metal shoegaze type of combination, and they definitely cook every time they step into that world. They released an album last year in December, and I am listening to this album on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. My favorite thing about this band is their vocals and their melody selections within those ginormous riffs. Like the song Pulse, that whole melody throughout that whole song is just very addicting, very catchy, very charismatic, and this band is a band I would put on a one to watch list or a band to look out for, something like that. And that's what I'm talking about right now, an underground band worth your time. They do remind me sort of that like Narrowhead, stuff like that type of sound, I guess, and I love that sound, so they knock it out of the park. And I'm not saying they're unoriginal or anything, but they definitely go into this type of world with the guitars and the heavy riffs, and I'm just in love with this band. Next band on my list is more of an indie rock type of band, and they're called Can, and this is definitely a band that has that quintessential 1992 indie rock Pavement type of sound. So if you're a fan of that type of sound, bro, this band is for you, and it's for me. So please listen to them. They're very great. Indie rock at its finest, I feel like. This band really paints a picture of a sunny day with the ice cream truck just rolling through your neighborhood, and that's exactly what I think of whenever I listen to this band. They feel very loose, and they feel like they're just letting the vibe go past them, and they're just having a good time the whole time. So Can is a band to look out for, an underground band worth your time, and they're just so fun to listen to. The way I think about this band is they're very much chilling in a treehouse type of vibe, and I love that type of scenario, if you know what I'm talking about. They just kind of have this summer-like aspect where they feel jolly as well, kind of like Glimmer, but more of like an indie rock type of sense. And they just really step into this storytelling universe where it's like, man, this band is really, really talented. And I'm very excited to see them drop more material moving forward, whatever they do. I'm very excited with this band. This band is so fun and just a joy, man. The last band on my list is an indie band, and they're called Subsonic I. This band is from Singapore, and they just completely have this butterfly-like spring type of vibe to them where it's very fun. I know I've said that with most of the bands on here, but this band just reminds me of summer more than any other band. And this band also reminds me of the 90s shoegaze band Lush, but not in the shoegaze type of guitar world or anything like that. I'm talking about the vocals mainly because the vocals really remind me of that. It has just like this sparkly little star-studded type of voice to it, and it feels very, very addicting to listen to. And their sound isn't necessarily like an indie rock Pavement type of deal. They have like those twangy guitars, I guess, kind of like Lush. So maybe they really do sound like Lush to me, but only because of the vocals and a little bit of the guitar, not too much on the shoegaze part. But they have that twang to them. They have that adventurous type of sound, which I really, really find enjoyable. Sometimes it's good to listen to, you like the sad music, but the happy music hits too, man. And they just released an audio tree session, and they're great live. So if you want to go watch that, go do that, because I enjoyed watching that whole session. This band is very exciting, and they make a lot of great tunes. I love the song Cabin Fever, and I believe that's their second most streamed song. And I don't know, man, it just feels like a walk in the park whenever you listen to this song. It kind of reminds me of My Beautiful Lady Alexa, and just, I don't know, it just reminds me of prettiness, I guess. And I love this band. I love all these bands, and I'm pretty much going to wrap it up on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I love all these bands. Underground bands are very hard to come by. I know you got to do your research, you got to do all that stuff, but sometimes you got dumb toes to come and drop some knowledge on you. And I'm not saying that I have all the answers and I know every band, because I don't. I'm not that pretentious, but I try my best to find all the talent, try my best to find music I enjoy. At the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to. I don't want to talk about music I don't enjoy, because you guys will catch that vibe with ease. And I don't want to be fake. So yeah, this is the stuff I've been listening to recently, and love these bands. Love every band on this list. This was one of the more exciting lists of underground bands worth your time to talk about. And that's because I really like this music. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will leave a link to all of the band's Spotify's down below, so you can just click on it, go on their accounts, give them some streams, listen to it, let me know what you think about it. And that's the end of the video from me, Dumb Toes. Like and subscribe, keep the music alive. Underground bands worth your time. Goodbye.